All right, good morning, everybody. How we doing? How we feeling? Another hump day is officially upon us. As usual, make sure I go through and check all my stuffs, all the things. Hope everybody is having a good week. All right, everything looks good. Everything looks all right. All right, so let's go ahead and go through this pre-market insight. On the calendar today, we have, come on, there we go. New home sales at 10, and at 10:30 we have the crude oil inventories as usual. Thursday, we got core durable goods, GDP, and the initial jobless claims, and of course, once again, we have nothing on Friday. All right, so let's go ahead and look at that power range. Got interesting price action this morning, but with our NQ future sessions power range report, we got a high of 14,274.25 with a low of 14,263.25. The sentiment is really neutral. Yeah, I kind of looked at part of the picture when I posted that, but it's really somewhat neutral. At the time of this posting, we were down 0.04% with a volume of 58K. And an ATR 198.91. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the charts. And let me look at this one real quick, see how it played out. So you see we had a nice little bullish run leading into the European session. Sold off all the way back down to some support here. Kind of turned around before we got to our pivot from yesterday. Just looking at it from a 15-minute perspective, and then back up within the power range. Overall, it's just kind of trading sideways. So we can go in either direction this morning. So far, the price action has been mostly bullish. Overall trend is bullish. So we'll just take that information into the open with us. Let's go ahead and switch on over to the Sierra chart. What do we look? Hold on, before I go over there and look at the daily. Alright, still climbing into new all-time highs. So last night's price action was all-time highs. Still just slowly grinding higher. Let's see. I take that off sale mode. This is the instance again. All right, so with ES, pretty much the same picture. Nice little bullish pop overnight. Almost at all-time highs with ES. We're a few points away, around 42.53. It's not an exact number, that's just a quick glance. I'm just kind of hanging around, mostly neutral. I'm not going to speculate beyond that. All right, let's go to RTY. Looks right. Same story. Still on a daily perspective, trading within its range. Nothing else super interesting to see there. Let's see if YM's going to be the eyeball, if it's trading the same. And YM is also along the same sheet of music. So all the index futures are, playing along with each other pretty much. We got overall neutral price action. RTY and YM are just hanging around within their range from a long-term perspective. still the major trend across the board is bullish. So, you know, the way that I look at it is if I'm gonna take I'm gonna take on, I guess you could say, like, more risk, or I'm looking for a bigger play to the bullish side, to the long side. If I was to take a short, I'm just looking to get in and out. I'm not looking for anything. You know, I'm not looking for the whole bottom to fall out at this point. And that's with the index. Let's go ahead and check CL. We do have inventories this morning. When I was trading crude, the way I normally trade it, all bulls overnight. Just, you know, we're bouncing our way higher. Oh, did that gap? I mean, I can't. This is an instance, so I can't completely trust this. I know I can look it up. Everything on this chart. Just want to see the daily. Okay, yeah, so it's just missing a little bit of data over there. All right, but that's still, you know, a significant move that's from yesterday. So, you know, the way that when I used to trade CL, the way I would normally trade it is I would just, on days like this, I would wait for the inventory report and then I would trade it. That's when I was trading more hours throughout the day. I wasn't just doing an hour a day. I was trading pretty much the whole session. A little bit of over trading at that time. Let's go ahead and look at gold. Gold has been getting a lot of attention in relation to the dollar. Very choppy for today's session. It's up, down. Trading neutral between PR +1 and what's that, +6. Very volatile, so, you know, it's great for scalping, not necessarily for longer trades. Which, you know, that's typically the typical price action for crude. All right, this is for gold, my bad. For gold, when it's being volatile, and sometimes when you get when we have trending days, it's pretty good on trending when it trends. But you see, we've been, from a daily perspective, we had this strong sell-off back into, you know, this previous somewhat bearish support. So it's really volatile, but it's because it's getting a lot of attention in comparison to the dollar. And let's go with the euro currency. Let's see what they're talking about over there. Mostly I will also call this, you know, give this a grade of neutral. Traded lower overnight into today's pre-market. Climb back into some session highs. You know, it's a lot of volatility. It's a lot of volatility across the board for today's futures session. All right. So that's our futures market watch. Go ahead and make sure I'm ready to do my thing with NQ. Got about 6 minutes to the bell. Let me go ahead and run back through my checklist. Remind myself, the only goal is to trade the strategy to perfection. Keeping the strategy simple. It's always seeing the big picture. And reminding myself the purpose of the evaluation account. make sure I don't forget anything. And I get that odd feeling like I'm forgetting to do something. Yeah, that's good. Go ahead and grab that pre-market snapshot and reset the scale to my charts. So I'm going back with my instant setup this morning. And just a reminder, if you haven't upgraded to the latest version, I think it's 2270, the one that they said that is no longer going to be functional, I think after tomorrow. But if you haven't upgraded to the latest version, 2276, I would go ahead and recommend to do that now if you're using Sierra chart. And as you can see, Rhythmic still works with the latest version, so you don't have to worry about that either. Upgraded my stuff last night just to make sure everything was working. Which means I also need to upgrade the guide. All right, 15 seconds to the open. We do have a balance level right here at 259. Above that, we got a balance level at 311. And to the short side, we have a balance level at 207.25. Just for situational awareness. I don't have a particular bias yet, as of yet. I'm just gonna let this play out and see what this first 3 minutes look like. On a daily, what's this? It's not a daily, is it? On a 30-minute perspective, we're hanging around below the K band, which just popped above it. And where is got some buying that's coming in now to see how much follow through we get. Seeing some buyers jump in on the board, pushing us above PR+1, which was serving as resistance in the pre-market. Now we got rejection. Of course, we can expect to see some sellers up there. Buying push right through it. Depending on how this closes, we could be looking at a somewhat of a momentum play. Even though it's looking a little weak up there. Which is why I let the candles close and don't just jump in it, because we traded right back down within the power range quickly. So we're just accumulating right now. Getting some fuel to take price wherever they're trying to take it. Those that move the markets. Really choppy open. Definitely not looking to take a break. If it goes, it goes. Since it's not the kind of setup that I would want to take a breakout. I'm supposed to be aggressive with this evaluation account, but just I still gotta be too aggressive with it. Just looking at the way that it's trading. So I'm not going to, like, normally I'm looking at these as levels, and my first entry would be at the highest level for a pullback. But unless I see something different in the price action, I'm gonna be a little bit more. I'm not going to be that aggressive with it. But right now, the price action that we're seeing looks more like we could hang around in a range for a minute. But I could be wrong. I can definitely be wrong. And I'm wrong a lot. But this is why I designed the strategy the way I designed it, so that when I am wrong, I'm looking at it from I'm trading it from a bigger perspective. So it gives me more of a chance to make something better out of it than just eating a bunch of losses. That's just my personal method of doing it. That is the frequency that I hold. If you hold a different frequency, trust your frequency. Alright, so we're slowly chopping higher. So that does give me a little bit of a reason to move my order up a little bit. Still not going to be overly aggressive. There's a lot of buying that came in there within that last 3 minutes that can give us, some decent support. The great thing about this is we're not trading in a big range, so there's not a lot of risk on the board as right now. Even the most aggressive that I could take a play, I'm not risking a lot. So we traded near our session highs, and of course we are seeing some front running. If we bought down in here, for those that bought down in here, which we can see we got buyers that came in down in this level. they'll be looking to take profit at session highs. You know, if they held throughout the whole thing, but we're not going to wait to get to the session high. We're going to start taking profit before that. Where is our session high? Okay, yeah, I'm looking at it. It got two lines at the same place, so they're blending in. All right, that puts me into play. Oops. Let me set this one up first. First target hit. I need to start trading with more contracts in the performance account. I'm just so focused on the evaluation, I forget about it. I'm trading the performance slightly different in terms of how I'm scaling in. I took the pre-market snapshot, but I forgot to actually paste it. It should be in my history, my clipboard history. So I should be good there. So 9:40. Taking a verbal mental note of the time. So this looks similar so far to the price action of yesterday. Just looking at structure and the actual price. That takes me out of the trade and evaluation or the performance account for just a scalp. And that was a break-even trigger. So we got buyers sitting right there at PR plus 1 at that 281 level. Not seeing a lot of follow through on with the delta. kind of bouncing around. Where's our TPO? TPO was at, was this 429? Yeah, or 269. Was I looking at 420? Yeah, so 269. We got our, not our TPO, our volume point of control, our VPOC. So right in the middle of all this noise, which makes a lot of sense. Now, normally I would have already killed this trade based off the price action, but the purpose of this evaluation accounts to really put it to the test, so we got to let it play out as it's designed without interfering with it. It's a good thing we're trading it within such a small range overall. It's not really volatile trading in huge ranges like it was at the beginning of the year and for most of 2020, where you're pretty much taking on a lot of risk with every trade. We're almost back to like the ranges that we saw, or that we were seeing before the pandemic. And I'm gonna move these targets in a little bit. It's a bit extreme. Just using my levels as reference points. Another thing that I'm been interested in maybe exploring. Alright, so this is a structural break-even trigger for me. So we could be just bouncing around the range. But one thing I do want to I have been thinking about doing, I haven't really quite figured out a way to do it yet with my strategy. And the way that I like to trade is, so I have a method to scale in, you know, as the price pretty much goes against my trade, which is, you know, that's the ideal way for me to scale in. But I'm also, you know, I also want to see how I can develop a consistent scale in strategy or method for when I'm in profit. And I haven't really given a lot of attention to that lately, because that works best when we're trending and we haven't had, you know, consistent trend days for a while. Like, we'll get one or two or a few, but then most of the price action every session has been choppy and trading in ranges, and then we'll get a pop. It trade, you know, at some point it may run for, you know, a few minutes and then back into its ranges. It's been a lot of arbitrage style trading going on with NQ anyway. Well, actually across the board. Similar to like doing retail arbitrage on eBay or Amazon, where you'll go out, you'll find some products on sale, and you'll post it on eBay for a higher price. You know, you'll go out, get your inventory, post it on, you know, whatever your e-commerce platform is for a higher price. Let me make sure I cancel these other trades, so that takes me out of that. Just for a small winner, basically a scalp. But yeah, so back to that other thought. So it's kind of like Yeah, so you'll go out, you'll forget your inventory. As we can see in this price analysis, it's us going out to stores and different places, maybe, you know, yard sales or whatever, looking for inventory at low prices. Then we're gonna go out and put it on eBay or Amazon or Poshmark or whatever. Just try to make a profit from it, selling it at a higher price. So that's basically the kind of price action that we've seen pretty much all year so far, with a couple of variances mixed in, sprinkled in there. So this is really how all markets work. It's just that, you know, the way the consumer usually see it, they don't really see it that way, with the exception of that retail arbitrage way of making an additional source of income. So to keep playing on that analogy, I was all out. Let me update the if I can type. Sometimes I forget about my journal when I'm doing this live stream. I may be looking at taking another position, depending on what kind of price action depending on how this trades from here. Still not looking to take a breakout, even though we got this range developing that can give us pretty much a setup to take a breakout, but not necessarily looking for that. Also, hindsight capital, where we get 100% accuracy. Another way I could have played that, this is not the strategy, I'm just looking at, I like to see different ways that I can play the strategy, even though I'm not going to actually do it, just to, just to give myself different perspectives. So another way in hindsight capital says that I could have seen that, this price action when I was still holding that recent position, seeing that we had a lot of support here, I could have actually added another contract down there, and then which I would have been able to take advantage of another pop. And I still, again, we're trading this tight range, so I don't have to be too worried about risk. My risk is already defined by the way that I set the trade up, so I don't have to be, on extremely volatile days, I definitely wouldn't even be considering doing something like that. But since we are trading in this small range, that's something that could have been played, just to a way of actually scaling in when I'm already in profit and taking advantage of the structure and how we have buyers giving favor to this level of 281. So it's not necessarily the point I'm making, is get straight to the point, is don't necessarily, if you're looking at these power ranges, don't look at them as the magic sauce or anything. It's just math really at the end of the day, but it's based off of human behavior. So it's not necessarily about these power ranges, but it's more so, about, the structural areas that retail traders and institutions are looking at to take positions. Remember, you got our market makers in the beginning. They're looking at those orders and then they're filling them, or they're helping them get filled in a way that they can make money on the spread. All right, we got buyers sitting at VWAP again. Trading down to VPOP. Where we're getting a response. Where we getting, I can't talk today. Where we're getting a response. So, got a response at this VWAP 200 zone. Very briefly. Traded down to VPOP. Now we're getting another response at the VPOP. I always feel like I'm saying Tupac when I say VPOP. Now price action is showing us we got buying coming in with negative delta. Price is moving higher, but the negative delta is slowly turning back positive, but it's not. Now I'm not seeing the response that I would expect with this kind of price action. And again, Hindsight Capital says that would have been a nice location to take another trade. I wasn't looking at that location. I was looking lower. So that's just a matter of awareness there. Something to take a mental note of. All right, now the delta is flipped back positive, back up into the high of that range that we saw from the first few minutes of the open. Painting the picture to break higher. Then we gotta ask ourselves, do we see follow through? And if I'm a short seller, I'm looking at this to maybe short that, or maybe a little bit higher. Saying that we got a lot of buying coming in here. If I'm looking at this from a seller's perspective, Seeing that we had a lot of buyers coming down here to push this higher. Didn't get a lot of support from what we were saying on the delta. So now we're assuming that they're gonna look into, those that bought down here are going to be looking to take profit up here where we're seeing price get, take a brief pause. So if I'm a short seller, I'll be looking to fade that and get on board with this, profit taking. Again, that's not the way that I trade. I'm just looking at this from other perspectives. I'm not telling you any particular way. Don't take what I'm saying as advice to take a trade. Stick to your strategy. All right, so trading up. Got a nice little break. Coming in contact with the balance level. So if I would have taken a break there, I would have, that would have given me at least a scalp. I would not be looking to hold that. This is one of the reasons why I didn't want to break, because we do have session high up here. Also with this balance level, so I would respect some sort of response at this level. So that wouldn't give me the kind of follow through that I want for this amount of, for the amount of risk that I would have to take a breakout up there. At this point, I'm just watching price action. Not even necessarily looking for a trade. Just seeing what we do. Kind of wish I would have been looking at that level when I was thinking about taking another position. I was looking lower. That would have played out beautifully. So if I would have taken that, that would have put my first scalp target like around here somewhere. Then I would have adjusted my second target there with my third target outer space. All right, so now we got some selling, trying to push price back lower. went ahead and adjusted this strategy to multiple contracts for the performance account, and it wasn't attaching the orders, but for some reason that box got unchecked. Alright, point of control just moved up to 293. Price is trading back down to that level. Same response there. Structurally, it makes sense. I'm just gonna leave that thought right there and just watch it. Really choppy this morning. Let me go take a look at the rest. See what RTY is doing. Also, just up down as well. Don't have it from a 3-minute perspective. We're not really sticking to a range so that much in RTY. Slightly bullish, really non-directional, and completely the opposite with YM. So that's interesting. We got some divergence there. Something I'll be keeping an eye on. And of course, ES is just trading sideways. I'm sure those that trade ES normally are having a field day with that, sarcastically. From my studies of the market as a whole, like other traders, mostly retail traders, usually don't get a lot of insight from, you know, the major players in the game. But most traders, for whatever reason, likes to take breakouts. And, you know, we haven't really had that kind of a market lately, which is why I kind of stopped, you know, pretty much taking breakouts out of the playbook, with the exception of potential momentum plays. But, you know, I'm saying all that to say that, you know, I've seen a lot of, just looking at other traders, I've seen there's a lot of frustration with a lot of other, you know, retail traders across the board, just because they're just sticking to the, you know, there's a level of consistency, but there's also a time when you got to know, you know, when to make an adjustment. So, you know, I like to make basketball references, as you can see from my, you know, how the way that I label my strategies, like this being triangle offense. If you know anything about, you know, the Bulls and the Lakers and Phil Jackson, then you understand, you know, that. But anyway, so, you know, we're in the playoffs right now, right? And the biggest thing about being successful in the playoffs is making adjustments. So, you know, you have your strategy, you have the strategy that the team, you know, they have their strategy, how they like to play based off the skills and the talents of the players on their team. But, you know, you want to stick to that, but at the same time, you got to know when that's not working as well and when to make an adjustment based off your opposition. So we got to look at the markets the exact same way. You know, the common sentiment around trading is competitive. So if this is a competition, even if it's a competition with ourselves, adjustments are a part of competing. You got to be able to make an adjustment. So a lot of the frustrations that I'm seeing across the board is traders are not adjusting, and they're just sticking to strategies that are not working out as well. So you have to be able to make an adjustment. Now what consistency will do, it will keep your head above water, at least, depending on what kind of, your account size. So if you're trading in a super small account, let's say your account is, you got a, at the extreme, like $500, and you're trying to trade futures, you could be feeling it right now because you're not getting a breakout strategy. Is not necessarily producing a lot of big plays for you to really grow that small of an account without the psychological effects of taking drawdown with such a small amount of capital. Again, this is the beauty. If you only have $500 to trade with, then when you have your strategy, this is the beauty of trading in a funded account, is you get to multiply just the cash that you have depending on what the different which funded account you go with and how they got it set up. And we're just hanging around in this range. Not a whole lot is going on. I would really love for some market correction from, on a big term, on a bigger perspective. Like if we could trade back down to, even if I don't, take the ride, we could trade back down to 13,000. That would be awesome. For a nice little reset. We're not really seeing a whole lot of participation that's going to give us the kind of follow through and the price action that we need to get out of all this choppy price action. But this is also from the the experience that I have. This is kind of typical for a June. Man, this is we're in the summer months. A lot of vacationing is going on, even though especially people were locked in the house last year. So people are taking every chance to get out as much as they can now. Which also adds to the lack of participation that we get in the market at this point. So with all of that being said, on that note, I'm gonna go ahead and end my participation for today. I hope y'all have a good rest of the day, a good rest of the week. Hope things, turn out positive for you and your trading in your account. And I will see y'all on the next one. If I can find my stuff. There we go. Trade it easy.